All right, back on the Morning Wake Up 1320 WILS. This is something that if you've got sons or daughters or maybe granddaughter, grandson, niece or nephew going to college, this is probably worth a conversation at some point. It may not apply directly to them, but it might apply to somebody that they know if they're online with a social media presence, and in that age group, who isn't these days. Members of the incoming freshman class, some members at Harvard University, Harvard, they started a meme group on Facebook end of last year, December. This group, the meme group, this is about, not mean, but meme, M-E-M-E. This was about Harvard memes for horny bourgeois teens. Okay, according to the school newspaper, that's what they were calling this. And this was supposed to be private. They had memes that apparently could be construed as making fun of sexual assault, making jokes about minority groups, and etc. Mexicans, the Holocaust, a lot of things that would be publicly not cool to do, not against the law, but not cool publicly. Well, it became public. Harvard got a look at this. They've rescinded their acceptance, which apparently is within their rights to do. So how should we look at this? What is our teachable moment here? Let's talk about it with Catherine Mars, certified educational consultant. Catherine, good morning. Welcome back.
Welcome. Well, thank you very much for having me on your show again.
Teachable moment here is everything you do online, you think it's all secret. Nah, probably not. And it's not a really good idea to have the alter ego going there nonstop. That looks a lot different than that essay you wrote to the nice people at Harvard Yard.
Absolutely. The lesson to take away from this is that, you can think certain thoughts, but when you post them, it becomes a whole different ballgame. And even if it's supposed to be a private page, Harvard, in their situation, they requested that the students share the information once they learned that such things were out there. They didn't go in and break into the private page. They asked to see it.
Great point. What would you advise someone who's been accepted by a school like Harvard and is asked to do that? Would you advise them to comply or to?
Absolutely.
Okay, even though it may cause them to lose their standing and place in the incoming class of 2017.
Absolutely. Students need to learn, and hopefully they are by the time they're 18. Young adults, they need to know that there are consequences for their actions. If they make a stupid decision, then they have to suffer the consequences. And in this case, the kids were not harmed physically, but they're going to go to a different institution and not have Harvard as their undergraduate degree. Now, they can probably go to Harvard for grad school because by that time they will have matured and they'll be able to explain themselves in a much more positive light.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. You would hope so. No question.
Yeah.
You would hope so. How common is this now that schools would get wind of something, asked to take a look? Is it part and parcel with the age we live in now that this is going to occur more, or is this a one-off? What do you think?
Well, I think that students need to be very careful. 35% of all admission professionals go and look at social media. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go in and pry into private social
right.
media, but nothing is totally private today. And, look at the NSA. They can look at anything they want to on us, and they're collecting it daily. So why on earth should a teenager want to post something that is very derogatory about someone else or something else? It's just not right. And everyone has a moral code, hopefully, and those things were just not good.
No.
It's not about free speech. This is not about free speech. This is about using common sense on what you post.
Yeah, and what you choose to share with others as well,
right.
and the the venue and the element where you do it. Do you have this conversation similar to this with people that you counsel here on higher education about who are trying to maybe get into a Harvard or another school? And I'm not going to call it scrubbing, but is that the right word today? Do people need to do some scrubbing and go backwards?
Yes, when I first meet with students and their families, one of the questions I always ask is, how much are you on social media? And obviously they say a lot. And I always say, well, I would really go back and check all of your social media and make sure it's clean. You don't want any suggestive pictures. You don't want any pictures of you at a party with a glass in your hand. That can be misinterpreted. That glass could be filled with water. But if it's a big group and everybody's laughing and having a good time, that college they can have their own perception. They come to the table with their own views and their own subjective opinions on things.
Absolutely.
They may view that glass of water as a glass of vodka.
Well, and and it's not just applying for college or a job, even something, seemingly as innocuous as an internship. They're important these days. I remember a couple of years ago, Catherine, having a person who's applying for an internship before I did the interview with, you always have a couple other people for the interview. I did do a look at social media. I did see that he had a public profile, and one of them involved some alcohol and saying, I think work's going to be tough in the morning. I don't know if I'm going to make it, which was posted on a weeknight. And
Right.
immediately put me in a bad mood about this interview. And I thought, well, should I have done that? Well, but why not? I mean, go ahead.
That's right. It's your perception. You were doing due diligence, quite frankly, and you should. We all should. Whether it's a student that's going to represent us in a college on a college campus, or if it's us trying to bring a new employee in or an intern, they're going to represent us while they're there, and we want people who think similarly to us and use good judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole seminar here for young people here called Digital Footprint, and you've got one now. You've got a digital. They used to they used to threaten us back when I was ago. This will be on your permanent record. You don't want this on your permanent record. We just thought there was somebody with a file case who had our permanent record. Well, now it's a digital file case, and it's a lot worse because you can't just lose something off of it. It stays forever, and there's always going to be somebody who can uncover those cookie crumbs digitally and do it.
Right, and I think a lot of this goes back to the idea of helicopter parents who have always bailed out their children, taken care of them in high school. If a teacher gave them a bad grade, they're the ones who go to the teacher and say, why'd you do Johnny that way? And et cetera, instead of Johnny standing up for himself and he said, well, I didn't study very hard, so therefore I got a bad grade. Well, consequences are part of life, and everybody is going to suffer them when they make bad decisions. And it would be nice if young adults, by the time they go off to college, are prepared for college and are aware of that and hopefully think better about what they do and say.
Well, what you just said wasn't just preparing for college. That's a good metaphor for preparing for life. Okay?
Exactly.
It's part and parcel with that. Catherine Mars, certified educational consultant. Catherine, where can we find you online?
MarsCAA.com, MarsCAA.com. And I look forward to hearing from you again.
Great conversation as always, Catherine. Thanks for being here. Morning Wake Up 1320. Do not go away. This is WILS.